Chapter 2. Free. Feed the maggots, do not touch Sleuth, and don't go nosing around my room. Got that? Simon Heap told his scowling assistant, Marin Meredith. Yeah, sulked Marin, who was sitting listlessly on the one comfortable chair in the observatory. His dark, straggly hair hung limply over his face, masking a large pimple in the middle of his forehead that had sprung up overnight. You got that? Asked Simon crossly. I said yeah, didn't I? Mumbled Marin, swinging his long gangly legs so that his feet hit the chair with an irritating regularity. And you better keep the place tidy, Lucy Grinch told him. I don't want to come back to a complete mess. Marin jumped up and made a mock bow to Lucy. Yes, your ladyship. Can I do anything else for you, your ladyship? Lucy Grinch giggled. Simon Heap frowned. Come on, Lucy, he said irritably. If you want to get to the port before nightfall, that is. Wait a minute. I've got your bag and your cloak. Come on, Luce. Simon strode across the observatory, his footsteps sounding hollow on the black slate, and disappeared through the granite arch that led to the stairs. And Marin, don't do anything stupid. Simon's voice echoed up the stairs. Marin kicked the chair angrily, and a cloud of dust and disturbed moths flew out. He was not stupid. He was not stupid. Marin had spent the first 10 years of his life being called stupid by his old master, Dom Daniel, and he had had enough of it. Marin had been mistakenly known as Septimus Heap for all those years, but however hard he had tried, he had been a poor substitute for the real Septimus. Dom Daniel never did realize the mistake, or the reason why his hapless apprentice never managed to do anything right. Scowling, Marin threw himself back into the old armchair. He watched Lucy Grinch, plates and ribbons flying, rush around, gathering up her last-minute bits and pieces. At last Lucy was ready. She snatched up the multicolored scarf that she had knitted for Simon during the long winter evenings in the harbor and dock pie shop, and ran after him. As she too disappeared under the gloomy granite archway, she gave Marin a little wave. Marin lost his scowl and waved back. Lucy always managed to make him smile. Happy to be away from what she considered to be the creepiest place on earth, Lucy did not give Marin another thought as he listened to the hollow sound of her boots beginning the long descent to the cold, damp, worm-slimed burrow where Simon's horse Thunder was stabled. As the sound of Lucy's boots faded away into the distance, and a heavy silence replaced it, Marin sprang into action. He seized a long pole, and quickly began lowering the black blinds that covered the skylight at the top of the room. It poked up from the rough grass and rocky outcrops at the top of the tall slate cliffs, the only part of the observatory visible above ground. As Marin pulled down blind after blind, the huge room slowly darkened until a dim twilight reigned. Marin went over to the camera obscura, a large concave dish that filled the center of the circular room, and gazed at it with a rapt expression. What had been a blank white dish in the early morning sun, streaming through the skylight, was now transformed to show a beautifully detailed, colorful scene. Entranced, he watched a line of sheep silently amble along the cliff top above the ravine, the pink clouds of the sunrise drifting slowly behind them. Marin reached up, took hold of a long pole hanging down from the center of the skylight, and began to turn it. A protesting squeak started up from a small bonnet at the apex of the skylight, which held the lens that focused the scene onto the dish below. As Marin slowly turned the bonnet through a full circle, the picture before him changed, showing a silent panorama of the outside world. Marin took a turn through the whole 360 degrees just for fun, and then sought out the spot he wished to watch. He let go of the pole, the squeaking stopped, and pushing his straggly black hair out of his eyes, Marin leaned forward and stared intently at the scene before him. The dish showed a long winding path that snaked down between rocky outcrops. A deep ravine could be seen to its right, and sheer slate cliffs to the left, broken only by an occasional rockfall or cascade of gravel. Patiently Marin waited until at last he saw Thunder come into view. The horse slowly picked his way along the path, carefully guided by Simon, his black cloak wrapped around him against the early morning chill. He was muffled in Lucy's scarf, the end of which she had also wound around her own neck. Lucy sat behind Simon, swathed in her precious blue cloak, her arms clasped tightly around his waist. Marin grinned as he watched the horse travel silently across the dish. He was, he said to himself, seeing them off the premises. As he watched Thunder's slow progress, Marin congratulated himself on having engineered the whole thing. From the moment Lucy Grinch had arrived a couple of weeks ago, accompanied by an immensely irritating rat that Marin had also seen off the premises with a well-aimed kick, Marin had started planning. His opportunity arose sooner than he had expected. Lucy wanted a ring, and not any old ring either. A diamond ring. Marin had been surprised at how quickly Simon had agreed to Lucy's way of thinking about many things, even diamond rings. Seizing his chance, Marin had suggested that he could look after the observatory, while Simon took Lucy to the port to find a ring. Simon said yes, as he had in mind a visit to Drago Mill's warehouse clearance sale, which the rat had talked about at length. It had started the week previously, due to the death of the owner of the warehouse, and was apparently full of the most amazing bargains. Lucy Grinch, however, had other ideas. She had already decided on the perfect ring, and it was definitely not from Drago Mill's warehouse clearance sale. At last, Marin's patience was rewarded by the sight of Thunder carrying his 2 riders off the edge of the dish. As the horses' tails disappeared, Marin let out a loud whoop. At last, at long last, after spending his whole life being told what to do by someone else, he was free.